It was a quiet evening in a small town nestled between rolling hills and lush green fields. Life moved at its own pace here, slow, peaceful, and predictable. Farmers worked their land under the golden glow of the setting sun. Children laughed as they chased each other near the riverbank, and families gathered around dinner tables to share stories about their day. The sky above sparkled with countless stars, painting a picture so serene that it felt like nothing could ever disturb this idyllic scene. But appearances can be deceiving. High above Earth's atmosphere, something extraordinary and terrifying was about to happen. Far away from the simplicity of rural life, scientists at NASA's headquarters were glued to their monitors. They had been tracking unusual activity in space for days but couldn't quite explain what they were seeing. Strange energy readings pulsed through the cosmos, growing stronger by the hour. At first, some dismissed it as solar flares or cosmic radiation. But Dr. Elena Carter knew better. A brilliant astrophysicist who had spent her entire career searching for signs of extraterrestrial life, she couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was on the horizon. Elena wasn't alone in her suspicions. Around the world, observatories reported similar findings. Astronomers whispered nervously about anomalies in the night sky, while amateur stargazers captured strange lights flickering across social media. Yet no one, not even Elena, could have prepared themselves for what came next. At exactly 8:47 p.m. local time, the calm shattered. Without warning, the sky began to crackle with an eerie energy. It started subtly, a faint hum that grew louder and more intense with every passing second. People stepped outside to investigate, pointing upward, as streaks of light danced across the heavens. Then, with a deafening roar, the very fabric of the sky seemed to split open. A massive rift appeared, glowing with an otherworldly brilliance that illuminated entire continents. The townsfolk gasped in awe and terror. Some fell to their knees, clutching rosaries or muttering prayers. Others grabbed their phones, recording videos to document the event. Children cried, unsure whether to marvel at the spectacle or run for cover. Even animals reacted strangely. Dogs howled, birds scattered into the air, and cattle stampeded in panic. No one understood what was happening, but one thing was clear. This was not natural. From the rift emerged colossal ships unlike anything humanity had ever seen. These weren't mere satellites or rockets. They were titanic structures that dwarfed mountains and cast long shadows over cities. Each ship stretched for miles, its surface shimmering with intricate patterns that pulsed with alien energy. They hovered silently, exuding an aura of power and mystery. For a moment, the world held its breath, waiting to see what these behemoths would do next. But instead of attacking, the ships froze in place. Then, in unison, they broadcast a single message in perfect English: "We come in peace." The announcement sent shockwaves rippling across the globe. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from disbelief to outright hysteria. Conspiracy theories ran rampant, with some claiming it was a hoax orchestrated by governments, while others insisted it was proof of divine intervention. News anchors struggled to make sense of the unfolding events, their voices trembling as they repeated the aliens' words. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Elena Carter found herself thrust into the spotlight. Her expertise made her the go-to authority for explaining the phenomenon, and soon she was being interviewed live on international television. Sitting in her cluttered office filled with books and charts, Elena spoke calmly but firmly. "This is real," she said, addressing millions of viewers. "These ships are not human-made. We're looking at evidence of intelligent extraterrestrial life, a discovery we've dreamed of for centuries. But we need to approach this carefully. This isn't just about science anymore. It's about survival." Her words resonated deeply, especially among those tasked with responding to the situation. Governments convened emergency meetings, military forces went on high alert, and intelligence agencies scrambled to gather information. Everyone wanted answers, yet no one knew where to start. Was this truly a peaceful visit, or was it a prelude to invasion? Could humanity trust these beings, or should it prepare for war? As debates raged behind closed doors, Ordinary citizens began to feel the weight of the moment. In coffee shops, classrooms, and living rooms, conversations revolved around the same question: what happens now? For many, fear gave way to curiosity. People flocked to rooftops and parks, hoping to catch another glimpse of the alien fleet. Some even tried communicating back, flashing lights or sending messages via radio waves. Meanwhile, deep within NASA headquarters, Elena and her team worked tirelessly to analyze the data streaming in from telescopes and satellites. They studied the composition of the ships, mapped their movements, and attempted to decode additional transmissions. Despite their efforts, much remained unknown. The aliens hadn't provided any further details beyond their initial greeting, leaving humanity guessing about their intentions. What Elena discovered during her research only deepened the mystery. Embedded within the energy signatures emitted by the ships was a pattern, a sequence of numbers and symbols that matched ancient astronomical charts. It was as if the aliens were speaking a language older than humanity itself. Could this mean they had visited Earth before? Or were they simply familiar with our planet's history? As hours turned into days, tensions continued to mount. While some embraced the idea of first contact, others grew increasingly wary. Protesters took to the streets demanding action from their leaders. Religious groups interpreted the event as a sign of impending doom, urging followers to repent. Meanwhile, conspiracy theorists claimed the government was hiding the truth, sparking riots in several major cities. Amidst the turmoil, Elena received a call from the White House. She was invited to join a top-secret task force tasked with coordinating humanity's response. Though honored, she couldn't ignore the gnawing sense of unease in her gut. Something about the situation didn't add up. Why had the aliens chosen this moment to reveal themselves? And why had they stopped moving after emerging from the rift? Her questions would soon find answers, but not in the way anyone expected. Late. One night, as Elena reviewed footage of the alien ships, she noticed something peculiar. Zooming in on one of the vessels, she spotted faint markings etched into its hull. They resembled scars, jagged and uneven, as though the ship had endured a fierce battle. Intrigued, she cross-referenced the images with earlier observations and realized the same damage was present on every single ship. This revelation struck her like a bolt of lightning. If the aliens had come in peace, then why did their ships look like they'd been fleeing from something? Whatever had driven them to Earth must have been catastrophic, and possibly still posed a threat. Before she could share her findings, however, the aliens made their next move. From the largest ship in the fleet, a holographic projection materialized, visible to everyone on the planet. It showed images of a desolate planet ravaged by monstrous creatures, beings with writhing tentacles and glowing eyes that radiated pure malice. The message accompanying the visuals was chilling. "Help us. They are coming." For a brief moment, the world stood still. Humanity had always wondered if it was alone in the universe. Now, faced with the reality of extraterrestrial life, it had to decide whether to extend a hand or turn away. And somewhere, far beyond the edges of known space, the true danger lurked, closing in on Earth faster than anyone imagined. The holographic projection of the aliens' ravaged homeworld lingered in the minds of billions. The images were haunting. Entire cities reduced to rubble, skies choked with ash, and monstrous creatures tearing through everything in their path. It was a vision of annihilation so vivid that it left humanity shaken. But what struck people most was the desperation in the aliens' plea. "Help us. They are coming." For a moment, the world seemed united by shock and empathy. Social media lit up with hashtags like #Stand with the aliens and Earth Unites. People shared memes comparing the aliens to refugees fleeing war zones, while others posted heartfelt messages offering support. Even skeptics who had initially dismissed the event as a hoax began to reconsider. If these beings weren't invaders, but survivors, then humanity had a moral obligation to help them, or so many believed. But not everyone agreed. As the initial wave of compassion ebbed, divisions emerged. Governments around the globe convened emergency meetings to discuss how to respond. Military leaders argued for caution, insisting that revealing Earth's technological capabilities might provoke the aliens, or worse, attract attention from whatever horrors pursued them. Diplomats countered that rejecting the plea for help could doom both species, leaving Earth isolated and unprepared for future threats. Amidst the heated debates, Dr. Elena Carter became a central figure in shaping humanity's response. Her calm demeanor and scientific expertise earned her a seat at the table during high-level discussions. She advocated for transparency, urging world leaders to collaborate openly rather than hoard resources or intelligence. "This isn't just about us anymore," she said during one meeting. "If we want to survive, we need to work together, not just as nations but as a species." Her words resonated with some, but resistance remained strong. A faction of politicians and military officials pushed for secrecy, fearing that public panic would undermine efforts to prepare for potential conflict. Others worried that sharing too much information with the aliens might give them an advantage over humanity. These tensions reached a boiling point when a classified document leaked online, a report detailing Project Horizon, a secret initiative designed to construct advanced spacecraft capable of defending Earth. Project Horizon had been shelved years ago due to budget cuts and lack of urgency. Now, with the alien fleet looming overhead and the ominous threat of the monsters closing in, the project was revived overnight. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock to complete the unfinished prototypes, integrating cutting-edge technology scavenged from decades of research. Factories repurposed production lines to manufacture parts, while volunteers flooded recruitment centers eager to contribute however they could. In small towns and bustling cities alike, ordinary people rallied together in ways no one thought possible. Farmers donated crops to feed workers laboring on the project. Retired mechanics offered their skills to repair machinery. Children organized fundraisers, selling cookies and handmade crafts to raise money for supplies. Even criminals stepped up, with prison inmates volunteering to assist in manufacturing under supervision. Humanity wasn't just reacting out of fear. It was stepping up because it had something worth protecting. Social media played a crucial role in uniting people across borders. Influencers used their platforms to spread awareness and encourage participation. Celebrities auctioned off personal belongings to fund relief efforts, while musicians released charity singles dedicated to global unity. Artists painted murals depicting humans and aliens standing side by side, symbolizing hope and cooperation. Memes transformed the grim situation into moments of levity, reminding people to stay resilient even in the face of uncertainty. Yet despite the widespread goodwill, challenges persisted. Not all nations were willing to cooperate fully. Some withheld resources, citing national security concerns. Others demanded guarantees that their contributions wouldn't be exploited by rival countries. Tensions escalated during a tense United Nations summit, where diplomats clashed over whether to show strength or humility. The debate grew particularly heated when representatives from smaller nations accused larger powers of prioritizing their own interests over collective survival. Just as it seemed negotiations might collapse entirely, the aliens made another move. Their lead ship descended closer to Earth, hovering above the Pacific Ocean. From its hull, a smaller craft detached and entered the atmosphere, landing gently in a remote desert region. Inside were 3 alien envoys, tall, slender beings with translucent skin and luminous eyes. Though their appearance was alien, their expressions conveyed a profound sense of vulnerability. Through a universal translator device, the envoys reiterated their message: "We seek refuge. Our enemies will arrive soon. Together, we can stand against them." Their words carried weight, but they also revealed unsettling truths. According to the envoys, the creatures hunting them, dubbed the Void Spawn, were interdimensional predators capable of consuming entire planets. Worse still, Earth's experiments with quantum technology had inadvertently created a beacon, drawing the Void Spawn toward humanity. This revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community. If true, it meant Earth was already on the Void Spawn's radar, and the aliens' arrival was both a blessing and a curse. Faced with this dilemma, Elena proposed a bold solution: Activate Project Horizon immediately and use the completed ships to defend Earth alongside the alien fleet. However, doing so required unprecedented cooperation between humans and extraterrestrials. The aliens offered to share their advanced weaponry and defensive systems, but only if humanity agreed to abandon its divisions and unite as a single species. This ultimatum sparked fierce debates worldwide. On one side, idealists embraced the idea of global unity, seeing it as an opportunity to transcend old rivalries and build a better future. On the other, pragmatists resisted, arguing that surrendering sovereignty to a centralized authority posed unacceptable risks. Protests erupted in major cities, with citizens clashing over whether to trust the aliens or prioritize self-preservation. Despite the chaos, progress continued. Engineers integrated alien tech with Project Horizon's prototypes, creating hybrid warships armed with devastating firepower. Pilots trained tirelessly in simulators designed to mimic zero-gravity combat, while AI systems analyzed countless scenarios to optimize battle strategies. Every day brought new breakthroughs and new fears. As preparations neared completion, Elena found herself grappling with doubts. Could humanity truly rise to the occasion, or would internal conflicts doom them before the void spawn even arrived? She poured her energy into rallying people, delivering impassioned speeches that emphasized the importance of unity. "History will judge us not by our differences but by how we choose to overcome them," she declared during a televised address. "Let's prove that we're stronger together." Her words inspired millions, but they couldn't quell the growing unease. Rumors of sabotage spread after several key facilities suffered mysterious accidents. Investigations pointed to rogue elements within Earth's own ranks, individuals unwilling to relinquish control or fearful of alien influence. One particularly harrowing incident involved a group attempting to seize command of a newly completed warship, nearly derailing the entire operation. Thanks to quick thinking by Elena and her team, disaster was averted, but the betrayal left scars that wouldn't heal easily. Meanwhile, time was running out. The void spawn were closing in faster than anyone anticipated. Satellite readings confirmed their presence beyond the rift, their shadowy forms pulsating with malevolent energy. Each passing hour brought them closer to Earth, leaving humanity little room for error. In the final days before the expected arrival, the atmosphere grew electric with anticipation. Soldiers prepared for deployment, families said tearful goodbyes, and communities held vigils praying for victory. Despite the looming threat, there was a sense of purpose, a shared determination to protect what mattered most. Elena stood atop a hill overlooking NASA headquarters, watching the stars twinkle. Above, she knew the battle ahead would test humanity in ways it had never imagined. But she also knew that courage often emerges in the darkest moments. With a deep breath, she whispered to herself, "We've got this." And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the void spawn surged forward, unaware that Earth was ready to fight back. As humanity braced itself for the arrival of the void spawn, Dr. Elena Carter found herself buried in research. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders. She wasn't just a scientist anymore. She was a decision maker, a problem solver, and possibly the last hope for Earth. Late one night, while combing through classified files in a secure NASA facility, she stumbled upon something that made her blood run cold. Hidden deep within decades-old archives was evidence of an encounter with the void spawn, or at least creatures eerily similar to them. The documents were fragmented but chillingly detailed. Decades earlier, a covert space mission had ventured farther into the solar system than any human spacecraft before it. The goal was simple: explore uncharted regions of space and gather data about cosmic phenomena. What they discovered instead was catastrophic. According to the reports, the crew encountered massive, shadowy entities capable of tearing apart asteroids and consuming entire moons. These beings emitted a low-frequency hum that drove the astronauts to madness. Only fragments of their transmissions survived. But what remained painted a horrifying picture of interdimensional predators that fed on energy and fear. Dubbed the void spawn by researchers, these creatures were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. They existed between dimensions, slipping in and out of reality like ghosts. Their existence defied the laws of physics, and their appetites seemed insatiable. Worst of all, the files hinted that Earth's experiments with quantum technology had inadvertently created a beacon, drawing the void spawn toward humanity. This revelation sent shivers down Elena's spine. If true, it meant Earth wasn't just collateral damage. It was the target. Elena knew she couldn't keep this information to herself. She immediately called an emergency meeting with the alien envoys, hoping transparency would foster trust. When she presented the evidence, the aliens reacted with visible distress. Their luminous eyes dimmed, and their translucent skin shimmered faintly, as though they were trying to process the implications. Through the universal translator, one envoy spoke gravely. "This confirms our worst fears," he said. "The void spawn are drawn to advanced civilizations. Your beacon acted as a signal, alerting them to your presence. By coming here, we may have accelerated their arrival." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the gravity of the situation. Humanity's curiosity had brought doom not only to itself, but also to the alien refugees seeking sanctuary. Yet there was no time for guilt or regret. The void spawn were already en route, and preparation was the only option left. To Elena's surprise, the aliens didn't blame humanity for its role in attracting the void spawn. Instead, they offered to share everything they knew about combating the creatures. Over the next few days, they revealed secrets about their own struggles against the void spawn, including weapons capable of disrupting their dimensional anchors. However, they warned that using such power came at a cost. Each weapon drained immense amounts of energy, leaving planets vulnerable to collapse if overused. "We've seen civilizations destroy themselves fighting the void spawn," another envoy explained. "You must decide whether to wield this power wisely or risk losing everything." This ultimatum sparked heated debates among humanity's leaders. Some argued that accepting the aliens' help was the only way to survive, while others feared becoming dependent on extraterrestrial technology. Conspiracy theories flourished online, with skeptics accusing the aliens of manipulating humanity into submission. Despite the backlash, Elena pushed forward, advocating for collaboration. "We don't have the luxury of distrust right now," she told a packed auditorium during a global broadcast. "If we turn away from this alliance, we're signing our own death warrant. But if we work together, we might stand a chance." Her words resonated deeply, swaying public opinion in favor of cooperation. Slowly but surely, nations began to set aside their differences. Military forces shared intelligence, corporations pooled resources, and ordinary citizens volunteered in droves. Even lifelong rivals put aside grudges, recognizing that survival depended on unity. While progress was being made on Earth, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Not everyone trusted the aliens, or Elena. A faction of rogue operatives, calling themselves Earth First, emerged as a vocal opposition group. They believed humanity should rely solely on its own ingenuity, rather than alien intervention. In secret meetings held in basements and abandoned warehouses, they plotted to sabotage Project Horizon, viewing it as a betrayal of human sovereignty. Their first strike came without warning. One evening, as engineers worked tirelessly to integrate alien tech with Project Horizon's prototypes, a series of explosions rocked the main facility. Flames engulfed the hangar, destroying several unfinished ships and injuring dozens of workers. Chaos erupted as alarms blared and emergency teams rushed to contain the blaze. Amidst the confusion, members of Earth First infiltrated the site, attempting to steal blueprints and sensitive data. Thankfully, quick thinking saved the day. Elena, who had been monitoring progress from a nearby command center, noticed unusual activity on surveillance cameras moments before the attack. She alerted security teams, who managed to intercept the saboteurs before they could cause further damage. Though shaken, the project continued, undeterred. Elena addressed the media shortly afterward, vowing to press on despite the setback. "This is exactly why we need to unite," she declared. "Fear and division will only weaken us. We can't let extremists dictate our future." Her resolve inspired millions, but it also drew the attention of the aliens. Impressed by her leadership, they revealed a shocking truth. Humanity wasn't the first species to face the void spawn. Countless others had fallen victim to their hunger, either consumed outright or driven to extinction by internal strife. The aliens admitted they too had faced ethical quandaries when dealing with other civilizations. Some had rejected their aid, choosing isolation over collaboration. Others had turned on them, viewing the aliens as invaders rather than allies. But, "You're different," one envoy said to Elena. "Your willingness to adapt, to embrace change is rare. It gives us hope." Their words filled Elena with both pride and dread. Humanity had proven resilient, but resilience alone wouldn't be enough. As the final preparations neared completion, the aliens delivered sobering news. The void spawn had breached the rift and were moments away from entering Earth's solar system. There would be no turning back now. In the final hours before the battle, humanity stood transformed. Nations dissolved old rivalries, forming a united planetary government dedicated to rebuilding and preparing for future threats. Soldiers trained alongside alien pilots, learning tactics designed to counter the Void Snap's unpredictable nature. Civilians volunteered in record numbers, offering whatever skills they possessed to support the war effort. Social media buzzed, with messages of solidarity, reminding everyone that they were part of something greater than themselves. But amidst the unity, questions lingered. Could humanity truly rise to the occasion, or would fear and mistrust undo all the progress they'd made? As Elena gazed at the stars one last time, she felt a mix of hope and trepidation. The void spawn were coming, and Earth was ready, but was it ready enough? Somewhere beyond the edges of known space, the darkness stirred, hungry and relentless. And as the first tendrils of shadow pierced the void, humanity prepared to face its greatest challenge yet. The final days before the void spawn's arrival felt like a blur, a whirlwind of activity, adrenaline, and anxiety. Humanity was racing against time, knowing full well that failure wasn't an option. Every second counted, every decision mattered, and every person played a role in Earth's desperate bid for survival. The alien fleet remained stationed above the planet, their massive ships casting long shadows over cities as they coordinated with human forces. Together they worked tirelessly to prepare for the battle that would determine the fate of two species, and possibly the universe itself. Dr. Elena Carter had become the face of humanity's resistance effort. Her calm demeanor and unwavering determination inspired millions, earning her both admiration and criticism. Some hailed her as a hero, while others accused her of playing God by aligning humanity so closely with extraterrestrial beings. But Elena didn't have time to dwell on public opinion. She spent her days shuttling between command centers, laboratories, and training facilities, ensuring that every piece of the puzzle fit together perfectly. Sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford, and coffee had become her constant companion. Under her guidance, Project Horizon reached new heights. Engineers integrated alien technology with human ingenuity, creating hybrid warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. These vessels were equipped with advanced weaponry, capable of disrupting the void spawn's dimensional anchors, weapons the aliens referred to as eclipse cannons. Each cannon required immense amounts of energy to fire, but when used correctly, they could sever the creature's connection to reality, forcing them back into the void from which they came. Training programs were launched to prepare pilots and soldiers for zero-gravity combat. Simulators mimicked the chaotic conditions of space battles, teaching recruits how to maneuver their ships while dodging the void spawn's writhing tendrils. Pilots practiced formations designed to maximize the effectiveness of the eclipse cannons, while ground troops learned strategies for defending key locations in case the void spawn breached Earth's atmosphere. Even civilians contributed, volunteering to staff communication hubs, medical stations, and supply depots. Social media buzzed with updates about the war effort. Influencers posted videos showcasing the latest advancements in technology, while artists created murals depicting humanity standing shoulder to shoulder with the alien refugees. Schools taught lessons about unity and resilience, inspiring children to dream of a future where cooperation triumphed over conflict. Celebrities auctioned off personal belongings to raise funds for relief efforts, and musicians released charity singles dedicated to global solidarity. Despite the looming threat, there was a sense of purpose, a shared determination to protect what mattered most. But not all was well behind the scenes. Rumors of sabotage spread after several key facilities suffered mysterious accidents. Investigations pointed to rogue elements within Earth's own ranks, individuals unwilling to relinquish control or fearful of alien influence. One particularly harrowing incident involved a group attempting to seize command of a newly completed warship, nearly derailing the entire operation. Thanks to quick thinking by Elena and her team, disaster was averted, but the betrayal left scars that wouldn't heal easily. As tensions escalated, so did the stakes. Satellite readings confirmed that the void spawn were closing in faster than anticipated. Their shadowy forms pulsed with malevolent energy, devouring everything in their path as they surged toward Earth. Each passing hour brought them closer, leaving humanity little room for error. In the final days before the battle, morale became a critical factor. Soldiers gathered in mess halls, sharing stories and jokes to ease the tension. Families held vigils, praying for victory and safe returns. Communities organized rallies, reminding everyone that courage often emerges in the darkest moments. Elena delivered impassioned speeches, emphasizing the importance of unity. History will judge us not by our differences, but by how we choose to overcome them, she declared during a televised address. Let's prove that we're stronger together. Her words resonated deeply, inspiring millions to stand firm in the face of fear. Yet beneath the surface, doubts lingered. Could humanity truly rise to the occasion? Or would internal conflicts doom them before the void spawn even arrived? The aliens, too, faced their own struggles. Though grateful for humanity's aid, they carried the weight of past failures. Memories of lost worlds and fallen comrades haunted them, fueling their determination to succeed this time. They shared stories of their homelands, describing vibrant ecosystems and thriving civilizations now reduced to ash. These tales served as a grim reminder of what was at stake and a powerful motivator to fight harder than ever before. On the eve of the battle, Elena stood atop a hill overlooking NASA headquarters, watching the stars twinkle above. She knew the coming fight would test humanity in ways it had never imagined. But she also knew that courage often emerges in the darkest moments. With a deep breath, she whispered to herself, "We've got this." And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the void spawn surged forward, unaware that Earth was ready to fight back. The day of the battle. When the void spawn finally breached the rift, the sky turned black. Swarms of shadowy tendrils stretched across the cosmos, consuming light and life alike. It was as if the universe itself recoiled in terror at their approach. The battle that ensued was nothing short of apocalyptic. Explosions lit up the void as ships clashed and heroes emerged from the chaos. Human and alien pilots performed daring maneuvers, sacrificing themselves to protect their comrades. Engineers worked miracles to keep damaged vessels operational, patching hull breaches and rerouting power systems. Communication channels crackled with orders and updates as Dr. Carter coordinated attacks from the flagship, relaying critical intel to ground forces. The Eclipse cannons proved devastatingly effective, but only when used strategically. Firing them drained immense amounts of energy, leaving ships vulnerable to counterattacks. Pilots learned to conserve resources, striking only when the void spawn converged into dense clusters. Each successful hit sent ripples through the fabric of space, temporarily banishing the creatures back to their dimension. Yet the void spawn adapted quickly. They split into smaller groups, targeting weaker ships and exploiting gaps in the defensive line. Panic threatened to take hold, but Elena's voice cut through the chaos. "Stay focused," she commanded over the comms. "We can do this. Trust your training, trust your teammates, and trust yourselves." Her words steadied the fleet, reigniting their resolve. Slowly but surely, humanity and its allies began to turn the tide. In one particularly heroic moment, a squadron of rookie pilots executed a textbook formation, luring the void spawn into a trap. As the creatures converged, a veteran pilot fired an eclipse cannon directly into their midst. The resulting explosion tore through the void, scattering the void spawn and giving the fleet precious breathing room. Cheers erupted among the survivors, but there was no time to celebrate. The battle was far from over. Hours passed in a blur of action and adrenaline. Ships were lost, lives were sacrificed, and sacrifices made. Yet despite the mounting losses, humanity refused to yield. Pilots pushed their machines to the limit, performing feats of skill and bravery that defied belief. Ground troops defended key locations with ferocity, holding the line against any void spawn that managed to breach Earth's atmosphere. Civilians played their part too, manning communication hubs and medical stations, ensuring that the war effort never faltered. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the turning point came. Using data gathered during the battle, AI systems identified a pattern in the void spawn's movements, a weakness in their dimensional anchors. If targeted simultaneously, it could collapse the rift entirely, trapping the creatures on the other side. The plan was risky, requiring precise coordination and perfect timing. Every ship in the fleet would need to focus its firepower on a single point, creating a chain reaction that would seal the rift forever. Failure meant annihilation, but success offered salvation. With Elena leading the charge, the fleet mobilized for one final assault. Human and alien pilots flew side by side, converging on the designated target. As the void spawn swarmed around them, the eclipse cannons charged, glowing with blinding intensity. "Fire," Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. Barrage of energy beams struck the rift simultaneously, sending shockwaves rippling through space. For a moment it seemed like the plan might fail. Then with a deafening roar, the rift collapsed, dragging the void spawn back into the void. Cheers erupted across the fleet as the immediate threat subsided. Tears streamed down faces as survivors embraced, celebrating their hard-fought victory. Yet amidst the jubilation there was little time for rest. The cost of survival was immense. Countless lives lost, cities reduced to rubble, and resources depleted. But humanity had endured. And though the scars of battle would remain for years to come, the spirit of unity and resilience burned brighter than ever. The collapse of the rift marked the end of the battle, but it was far from the end of the story. As the last tendrils of the void spawn were sucked back into the void, an eerie silence fell over the battlefield. The once chaotic expanse of space now seemed empty and still, as if holding its breath after witnessing such destruction. For a moment, humanity and its alien allies simply floated there, suspended in disbelief, wondering if it was truly over. Dr. Elena Carter sat in the command center of the flagship, her hands trembling slightly as she stared at the monitors. The data confirmed it. The rift was sealed and the void spawn were gone. But victory came at a staggering cost. Dozens of ships lay in ruins, drifting lifelessly through space. Countless pilots and soldiers had given their lives to protect Earth and its newfound allies. Ground forces stationed on Earth's surface reported widespread devastation where void spawn had breached the atmosphere, leaving cities in ruins and countless civilians displaced. Elena felt a mix of emotions: relief, grief, pride, and exhaustion, all swirling together in a storm she couldn't fully process. She leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes for just a moment, letting herself breathe. Then, with a deep sigh, she opened her eyes and turned to address the crew around her. "We did it," she said, her voice steady, despite the fatigue etched into her face. "But this isn't the end. It's only the beginning." Her words resonated deeply with everyone present. They knew that while the immediate threat was neutralized, the road ahead would be long and difficult. Rebuilding what had been lost wouldn't happen overnight, and the scars left by the battle would take years to heal. Yet amidst the wreckage, there was also hope. A fragile but powerful spark that refused to be extinguished. a world. Transformed back on Earth, reactions to the victory were mixed. In some places, celebrations erupted spontaneously. Crowds gathered in streets and squares, waving flags and chanting slogans of unity. Fireworks lit up the night sky, celebrating not just survival but triumph against impossible odds. Families hugged each other tightly, grateful for the loved ones who had returned home, or mournful for those who hadn't. Social media buzzed with messages of gratitude and resilience, reminding people that even in the darkest moments, humanity could shine brightly. But not all corners of the planet rejoiced. In areas hit hardest by the void spawn's attacks, the mood was somber. Homes were reduced to rubble, infrastructure destroyed, and communities torn apart. Survivors wandered through the debris, searching for anything salvageable or familiar. Aid workers rushed to provide food, shelter, and medical care, but resources were stretched thin. The scale of the disaster overwhelmed even the most prepared governments, forcing them to rely heavily on international cooperation and alien assistance. The aliens, too, played a crucial role in the recovery effort. True to their word, they stayed behind to help rebuild what had been lost. Their advanced technology proved invaluable in clearing debris, restoring power grids, and constructing temporary housing for displaced populations. Alien engineers worked side by side with human counterparts, sharing knowledge and expertise that accelerated the rebuilding process. Yet their presence wasn't universally welcomed. Some groups viewed the aliens with suspicion, accusing them of having ulterior motives. Conspiracy theories flourished online, claiming that the entire event had been staged to manipulate humanity into submission. Others argued that relying too heavily on alien technology risked making Earth dependent on extraterrestrial aid. These tensions occasionally boiled over into protests, with demonstrators demanding stricter oversight of alien activities. Despite these challenges, the majority of humanity embraced the partnership. Stories of heroism and sacrifice inspired millions to support the war effort. Celebrities used their platforms to raise funds, schools taught students about the importance of unity, and artists created murals depicting humanity standing shoulder to shoulder with the alien refugees. Even skeptics who once doubted the existence of extraterrestrial life found themselves cheering for the cause. In the weeks following the battle, nations dissolved old rivalries, forming a united planetary government dedicated to rebuilding and preparing for future threats. Borders became less rigid as countries pooled resources and shared intelligence. Military forces integrated alien tactics into their training programs, ensuring that Earth would never again be caught off guard. For Dr. Elena Carter, the transformation was both inspiring and humbling. She had always believed in humanity's potential, but seeing it realized on such a grand scale filled her with awe. Invitations poured in from every corner of the globe, asking her to speak at conferences, attend ceremonies, and advise policymakers. Her name became synonymous with courage and leadership, earning her accolades she never imagined receiving. Yet, Elena remained grounded. She refused to let fame distract her from the task at hand. Instead, she focused on fostering collaboration between humans and aliens, believing that their alliance was key to preventing future catastrophes. Facing the future as the initial shock of the battle faded, attention turned toward addressing the root causes of the crisis. Scientists delved deeper into the classified files Elena had uncovered earlier, determined to understand how Earth's experiments with quantum technology had attracted the void spawn. What they discovered was sobering. Humanity's advancements had inadvertently created a beacon, drawing the creatures toward the planet like moths to a flame. This revelation sparked heated debates among researchers, ethicists, and policymakers. Should humanity abandon certain technologies altogether? Or should it find ways to mitigate their risks without stifling progress? Elena advocated for a balanced approach, urging caution, but also emphasizing the importance of innovation. "We can't turn back the clock," she said during a global summit, "but we can learn from our mistakes. Technology is a tool. It's neither good nor evil. It's how we use it that matters." Her words struck a chord, leading to the establishment of new regulations designed to prevent similar disasters in the future. Research facilities implemented stricter safety protocols, while governments formed watchdog agencies tasked with monitoring potentially dangerous experiments. Education systems revised curricula to include lessons on ethical responsibility, teaching future generations to think critically about the consequences of their actions. Meanwhile, the aliens revealed more about their own history with the Void Spawn. They spoke of civilizations that had fallen victim to arrogance and greed, ignoring warnings until it was too late. They warned humanity not to repeat those mistakes, urging vigilance and humility. "We've seen hope rise and fall countless times," one envoy said during a joint press conference. "Your willingness to adapt, to embrace change is rare. Hold on to that spirit. It may save you again someday." Their words served as a reminder that survival was never guaranteed. Humanity had won this round, but the universe remained vast and unpredictable. Somewhere out there, other dangers lurked, waiting to test Earth's resolve once more. A new chapter months passed, and life began to return to normal, or at least a new version of normal. Cities rose from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than before. Communities rebuilt not just physically but emotionally, coming together to support one another in ways no one thought possible. Children returned to school, businesses reopened, and festivals resumed, celebrating life in all its forms. The relationship between humans and aliens continued to evolve. No longer seen as outsiders, the refugees became valued members of society. Many chose to settle permanently on Earth, integrating into various fields and industries. Others offered their services as advisors, helping humanity navigate the complexities of interstellar diplomacy. Dr. Elena Carter emerged as a symbol of this new era. Though she preferred working quietly behind the scenes, her contributions earned her a place in history books. Statues were erected in her honor, universities named scholarships after her, and documentaries chronicled her journey from astrophysicist to global leader. Yet Elena remained humble, always deflecting praise onto the countless individuals who had contributed to humanity's success. One evening, as she stood atop a hill overlooking a rebuilt city, Elena reflected on everything that had transpired. The scars of battle were still visible, cracked sidewalks, patched-up buildings, memorial plaques honoring the fallen, but so too were signs of renewal. Trees planted in memory of the deceased swayed gently in the breeze, their leaves rustling, softly as if whispering stories of resilience and hope. She thought about the aliens, their luminous eyes filled with gratitude and respect. She thought about the pilots who had sacrificed themselves to protect others, the engineers who had worked miracles under pressure, and the ordinary citizens who had stepped up when called upon. And she thought about the Void Spawn, lurking somewhere, beyond the edges of known space, a reminder of the fragility of existence. But most of all, she thought about humanity, not as it was, but as it had become. United, resourceful, and determined, it had proven capable of rising above fear and division to face the unknown. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Elena smiled faintly. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew one thing for certain: Earth was ready. And somewhere, far beyond the St.